a comment on Facebook the other day after I was speaking to somebody, and it's basically on how to bleed brakes. Now, there are many different techniques. You can use brake bleeding kits. You can use, there's ones that go on the end of your airline, there's handheld pump ones, there's back bleeding, there's many different techniques. What I'm going to show you is the basic old school way of doing it, because I believe if you know that, you can then adapt to doing the newer techniques at a later date. If you know the basics of the old way of doing it, if you ever get a problem with a back bleed or something like that, or your handheld pump or your airline one's not working, then at least you know how to do it the old way. So I'm going to crack on and I'm going to show you how to do that today. We're going to be working on the Millie. I've dragged it in. Right, okay, so first job is basically to take this cap off. But before you take the cap off, make sure your handlebars are nice and straight. And check for the level of the fluid. Okay? Now, the reason for checking for the level of the fluid is because you don't want to put too much more, but more in than what's already in there. Okay? So, take a Sharpie or anything and just literally put a dot or a little mark on your reservoir, just so you know where the fluid comes up. Okay, so you can see it, and there's a little dot there if you can pick it up on the camera. Now, excuse me again. The reason for doing this is two things. A, you don't put too much fluid in, but also what it does is brake fluid is a fantastic indicator for how worn your brake pads are. Now, as you pull your brakes in and out, obviously your brake pads wear. So as your brake pads wear, it's going to need more fluid down at the caliper. So what happens is the fluid goes down in your reservoir. So when your fluid gets down to where the brake pads are just off touching metal, then that's when you need to replace them. So somewhere, I'm going to hazard a guess at this because I don't know, because I know these are new brake pads. Somewhere around this mark here is when the brake pads are going to want changing. So you want to come up just a little bit above that, and then when the fluid comes down to that, you'll know that your brake pads want changing. So basically, keep an eye on your brake fluid, and as further as your brake fluid goes down, have a quick visual inspection of your brake pads, okay? And then that way you'll know when your brake pads want changing. So this is a fantastic indicator for knowing when your brake pads want changing. I've seen no end of people go, oh, my brake fluid's really low, and they'll top it up. That's fine, and I understand why you're doing that, but you're not checking, you're not having a visual inspection of why your brake fluid's gone down. So if your brake fluid's going down, check for brake pad wear, and the other thing to check for is leaks. Just check that you haven't got any leaks. But you should be able to feel that through the brake lever, because the brake lever will become very spongy and horrible to hold. And basically you just won't stop because you'll have air in there, because it will be drawing air back into the system. So, as I said, keep your eye on your brake fluid. It's a big indicator of what is actually going on down at the front of the bike. Right, what I've got to do is I've got to remove the cap. So I've dotted it where it needs to be. What I'm going to do is just turn the handlebars like that, and I'm going to undo these two screws. One there, and one there. There we go, they're nice and loose now. I should have a rag around here somewhere, just an old rag. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that around there for a minute, just in case any brake fluid comes out. Right, there's your screws. Take your screws out, put them safe, don't lose them. The other thing is take your cap off. There you go. And I'm just going to have a visual inspection of the cap. There you go. I don't know if you can pick that up. You see that inside there just glistening? That's water. It's moisture. Okay? Which is bad for brake fluid. Turns it black. The actual brake fluid in there doesn't look too bad, so I probably might have just caught that in time. Just make sure there's no holes in the rubber. You can pop these right open, that's fine, it will not hurt them. Just make sure there's no holes in it, which there isn't in this one, and then all you got to do is just gently just press it back in, and there you go, it forms itself back to shape, okay? And then just give it a quick wipe off or clean off. And whenever you put it down on anything, I've seen quite a few people put them down like that, which all you're going to do is you're going to end up damaging that. So don't put your brake caps down like that. Put them up, facing up, on something clean, or alternatively, put a clean piece of kitchen towel down and then put it that way down. Don't put it straight onto a bench like that, because you'll just get it covered in all sorts of horrible stuff. And then that will then get into your brake lines, it will then get into your brake fluid, and it can cause all sorts of problems later on down the line in all the surfaces, which is not what you want. Okay? So that's that bit done. I'll put that up. I'll put that on top of the seat, because I know the seat's clean, and I'm putting it up, rubber side up. Okay, right. You can now see your brake fluid, and you can see on this one it's pretty full, so I know my brake pads are new. But the brake fluid, it's not looking too bad, it looks quite good to be fair. I will show you some more stuff when I can find it. It is over there, hang on. Just for a comparison. You can see that, there you go. This is old brake fluid. This was taken out of a TL1000R that I did the other day. Now you can see how dark that is. It's horrid, it's worn. And basically the brakes were so spongy it just didn't stop the bike at all. So I bled the brakes out, and now it's got nice and clean fresh fluid in it, and you can see the colour difference straight away. That's old. If your brake fluid looks like that in there, change it, because you've got water in it, and that is useless, completely useless brake fluid now. It's not good for anything apart from chucking on a bonfire. It's about all it's good for. Or unless you want to strip some paint off a bolt or something, throw it in there, it'll eat all the paint off. So it does have a few uses, but to be honest, if your brake fluid looks like that in the reservoir pot, change it straight away and get it done ASAP, because you will have brake fade. You'll be trying to compress water, and water does not act like hydraulic fluid. So there you go, that's how it shouldn't look. That's how it should look, that's how it shouldn't look. Alright? Right, on to the next bit. Down at the front of the bike here, now you'll have to bear with me on the camera angle here, because I don't know how good it's going to be. Okay, now turn the wheel around. Right, this is your bleed nipple. You can see that. That's your bleed nipple. So what you need to do is you need to pop that little cap off, your little dust cap. Okay, that's your bleed nipple. Then grab yourself, I think that's an 8mm, but I'm just going to check, I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so got myself my 8mm. Now all you do is you put your 8mm on, and you should be able to just crack that off. There you go, easy as that. Okay, now that's closed, that is open, that is all it needs. It doesn't need to be open all the way. As you can see, there's already brake fluid dripping out the top of it. Right, grab yourself a jar, because you're going to need something to catch the brake fluid in. Put your pipe in, and then put the end of your pipe on the end of your brake nipple, bleed nipple, like so. And I need something just to go underneath that jar, because it's not quite high enough. Okay, so there you go, just like that. Alright, I'll bring that round so you can see. So there you go, there's your jar, your line, up onto your nipple. Now, what I will say is clear pipe is better. Right, so what I'm going to do, sometimes it is easier if you've got two people, because then the person on the guy to hold the bike upright and steady it and pump the lever for you while you do this. So basically what we do is put your hand on here, pull it until you've got pressure, okay, and then turn that until you can feel it starting to go in. See, that's hardly any much of a turn, and that's it, pumped in. All the way back to the bars. Lock it off, release. Feel for pressure again at the top. Pull it in. All the way to the bars. Lock it off. Release the top one. Again, feel for pressure. Open the valve. And there you go, it just pumps in. Lock it off. Now you will feel, when you pull it in, it'll go hard, and then when you pulled it in, you will feel, when you release this bottom one, you'll feel it go loose at the top. So you can pull it against there, so you pull it with pressure. There's not a lot of pressure on, I'm using hardly any pressure at all, okay? One finger, turn that, and just pull it through. Nice, simple, gentle movement. Lock that off. Release. You probably can't pick this up on camera. There's fluid coming out the bottom of that pipe. Okay. It's actually very clean fluid. Doesn't actually need changing. Right, and that's it really. And you just keep doing that until you go down. Now, don't go all the way down until you get to the point where you've got no fluid left in your reservoir, because then you'll end up with air in the system. So go down to where you've got your minimum mark, which you should have on your reservoir, and then just top it back up with fresh fluid and just keep going through. And you probably want to go through one, maybe 2 pots per side. Okay. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna finish off this, and we're gonna have a look and see what it looks like afterwards. It's not looking too bad at the moment, so we'll pump another one through. So basically, I'll just go over it again so you get it. Feel for pressure. Okay, there's pressure there. Gently release the bleed nipple and just squeeze the brake lever back. Hold the brake lever back, lock that off, release the brake lever. All you're doing is stopping the air from going back. And this is the basic way of bleeding brakes. It's the simplest and easiest way of bleeding brakes. Okay? So there you go, that's how you do it. I'm just going to go through this and I'm going to finish this off. I'm not going to bore you with a whole video of going through how to bleed the brakes all the way through the system. You do exactly the same thing on the other caliper on the other side. If you've got a single caliper on one side, it's exactly the same technique, there's no change. And exactly the same for the rear brake. If you have a rear hydraulic brake, it's exactly the same technique for that, except you push the brake pedal down instead of pull the lever back. Okay, so it's exactly the same techniques. Front back round to the other side just to go over them again. Now it looks like at some point the other side hasn't been bled out properly, because all of the fluid that's come out of there is the same as what was in that jar that I showed you earlier. Nasty, horrible, golden yuck, basically. So that's got water in it, so that's gone off. So we'll throw that away. Right. And it's the same for putting it back together. It's the same principle. I'll just bring you down and show you. See if you can. If I can hold it steady. All right. Take your pipe off. Obviously that's all tight now. So just take your pipe off. Pop your pipe off. I say a clear pipe would be better, but I haven't got one. Now don't hang on this spanner. Whatever you do, do not hang on it. All you need to do is that. Okay, that's it. Doesn't need to be wrenched up 50 million Newton meters or anything. Okay, it is literally, you'll snap that, and if you snap that bleed nipple, you're in a world of hurt. Believe me, it's not fun trying to get them out. So quite difficult doing it one person. Right, if you can see my dot, which is there, that's where my brake fluid started from. It's slightly above that, which is fine. That won't hurt. Okay, so that's that done. That's nicely all right at the right level again now. So the next bit is literally just to put the cap back on. So just take your cap. Like I said, you should have already inspected it, but if you haven't inspected it, just give it a quick inspection. Make sure there's nothing on it. That just simply pops in on top. And if you have any moisture in the top of your cap, in the top of this cap, right there, just clean it out, just give it a wipe out. You're always going to get moisture in there, you're never going to stop it. Okay? That's just part and parcel of what the seal does. Okay, that goes on that way around. Just pop that into place. Well, I should say try and pop it into place, but it doesn't want to go in. The seal's not in the right place. There we go. That one. And that one. Just make sure there's no drop down there. At some point I will be redoing, I'm going to redo this video, well not redo this video, but I'm going to be redoing these. Okay, these are going. I don't like them, they're horrible. So there will be a modification coming at some point. I'm having different reservoirs fitted. So that will be a case of taking this off, replacing it, putting new brake lines and stuff, or not new brake, possibly new brake lines. Don't know yet, haven't made my mind up. But it will be new reservoirs for this side and the clutch side. But for now, that's pretty much it. There you go. All you do is just screw these down. You don't need to over tighten them. I know a lot of people do. You don't, you really don't. You just need to just literally nip them up. And I mean nip them up. I'm only using 2 fingers. I don't know if you can. Just remember to do them up evenly on both sides. That's it. It's just a quick vid on how to bleed brakes out. Now, if you've got new brake lines on, you're going to find that it's difficult to bleed them out to begin with, okay? And you're probably going to be pulling your hair out. Do exactly the same technique, but before you open the valve or the bleed nipple, pump it a few times, then open it, then obviously let it go, pump it. Reason being is air doesn't compress like the brake fluid does. It kind of compresses down and then goes back up a bit, then compresses down, then goes back up a bit, and then compresses down, and you get the idea. And eventually it'll work its way down. Having a clear tube on helps because you'll be able to see the brake fluid come out the end. Please make sure that you've got a clear stream of brake fluid with no bubbles in it. Okay. I recommend a couple of pots of brake fluid either side, so you know for definite that you've bled it all the way through. If you've got twin calipers, like it has on the Millie, then 2 pots per caliper. Same on the rear, 2 pots per caliper. And if you've got a clutch reservoir, hydraulic clutch, exactly the same technique, do exactly the same thing. And a couple of pots through that, so it's got nice, so you end up with nice clean fluid. If you've got a sports bike like this, and I know a lot of these bikes sort of, service intervals run about 5,000 miles on a lot of them. Change your brake fluid at the same time you do your service. Okay, you can keep a diary of it. That way you know that your brake fluid has been changed at the same time as your bike has been serviced. That keeps them fluids safe. As for coolant and stuff, it doesn't need changing as regularly as your engine oil and your brake fluid. Now there's different types of coolant. I'm not going to get into that into this video, but I am going to be changing the coolant in the Millie at some point for something different. Okay, but that's not going to be yet. So hopefully, I hope that's helped you out. If there's anybody that needs any help, any further help, or if I can assist you in any other way, or if there's any more how-to videos you want to know, drop me a comment below, or